I now call this regular meeting of the Davenport Community School District Board of Directors to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Director Klein Jerome, would you please read the mission and vision statements?
Excuse me. Davenport Community School District is dedicated to growing excellence in academics, the arts, and athletics for every child by ensuring the highest quality education in an environment shaped by diverse community, preparing our students to be lifelong learners and productive citizens. Vision statement: education that challenges conventional thinking, prepares all students to compete in a global society, and inspires our students, parents, staff, and community to answer the question, what if?
Thank you. Director Potts, would you please read the guiding principles?
Opportunity. We provide abundant opportunities to empower students to reach their full potential academically, creatively, and socially. Collaboration. We foster an environment that allows students, families, and community stakeholders to come together for the betterment of our students' education and future. Transparency. We share relevant, important information with our students, families, and the community to maintain open and productive communication.
Thank you. Superintendent Schneckloff, would you please read the goals?
Goal 1, enhance student learning, and Goal 4, foster the innovative use of finances, facilities, and staff.
Are there any recognitions tonight? No? All right, I knew that. I just wanted you to say that.
None at this time.
Perfect. We'll move on to presentations. The presentation I have is subject 3.01, Summer AmeriCorps Volunteers.
So we have a special group of people that really help make our summer go. They're also with us throughout the school year, and there are our special guests from AmeriCorps. I have seen firsthand the relationship building that these young people do in our buildings. So much to the fact that I believe Miss Larson's ordering Fatheads for Wilson. You guys can sit up there, please. Fatheads at Wilson to keep the legacy of one of our human beings here going. So I'll turn it over to Shani for. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. I know as college students, coming to a school board meeting isn't at the top of your list, so spending some time with us is very important. And so I'll turn it over to Shani to kind of go through our program and do some introductions first, please.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you for figuring out with your coach for missing football practice or wrapping it up early. So thank you guys for having us, and thank you for acknowledging the hard work that these guys do. Some for multiple summers, some this is their first summer. So we'll go down the line and they can introduce themselves, and they can let you know whether they're a first year member or if they're returning members.
My name is Davion Titus Porter, or as the kids call me, Mr. TP. This is my second summer with AmeriCorps, but as you did mention, I also did some work during the school year as well. And I'm currently in my master's program at St. Ambrose University in criminal justice in the accelerated 4+1 program.
My name is Keon Lewis, and this is also my second summer as a AmeriCorps service member. I'm a business sales major at Ambrose, and I'm going into my senior year.
My name is Hunter Kelly. This is my first year working with AmeriCorps. I'm a criminal justice major, and I'm going into my senior year.
Hi, I'm Becca Eastman. I'm fellow board president, so from next door. I am also in my other hat. I'm the program manager for AmeriCorps for the city of Davenport.
I'm Teresa Hallman. I'm the senior recreation manager for the city of Davenport and the AmeriCorps director.
down. Yes, there, we got another one down there. All right, so what is AmeriCorps? We've talked a lot about AmeriCorps previously, but AmeriCorps is a service program facilitated through the National Corporation of Service. AmeriCorps is a domestic program to promote volunteerism with designated communities around the country. And DCSD has partnered with the city of Davenport for over 20 years. And fun fact, I, Shani Ford, right out of school, served as a full-time member in Davenport schools, which is how I actually came to love DCSD and never left. So I was I was the OG AmeriCorps. So as we, talk about what is AmeriCorps, there's a lot of benefits to serving. The members receive a moderate living stipend every 2 weeks. They're shaking their head. Moderate is very moderate. At the end of a successful term of service, the members receive a college scholarship education award where they can use to pay for current college tuition, future student loans, or for future education expenses like grad school, things like that. Many colleges and universities match a percentage of the AmeriCorps Education Award, and AmeriCorps serves as a great resume builder and also as a good way for career exploration. We have a lot of these guys, as they've stated, their majors are criminal justice, business, but we could bring you over to the other side of education. You thought about it. And so it's a good way for them to dip their toe in the fields of social service and education and do it while making a meaningful impact. So within DCSD, we have had members in a 450-hour capacity, and they serve between 12 and 15 hours a week all school year. And then our summer members serve 300 hours from when summer starts until the end of program. And these members, specifically sitting in with us, they focused on academic activities, read-alouds, mentoring, and enrichment programming. All 6 of our members that served this summer play on the SIU football team. The members have made a meaningful contribution to programming and had a huge impact on our community and our students. I added this because they are literally the coolest people that in the students' eyes when they're serving, the kids gravitate to these guys and they're great role models. They set a great example, and to have them with us, it lets our students see, you know what, they're in college, they're doing a sport, they're doing these things, and they're serving us by volunteering. And then as a huge hint, these guys, they have collectively served over 1,800 hours in volunteer service this summer. That is just enormous for what they've done for DCSD. We kind of already did introductions. Can't say enough how much we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. And again, we want to acknowledge you guys. So if any of you want to add what AmeriCorps has done for you in terms of your service, you can. We would love to hear your perspective. Would anyone like to volunteer? I know you would. I knew.
You can go first. You got it. So basically, I have 9 brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest brother. So I've always been like the big brother type of person, and AmeriCorps has helped me to contribute what I've been doing my whole life into our community here. And I also was a student at Davenport schools as well. I was a graduate from Davenport North. So to be able to just make an impact on the community here, it just is very heartwarming. I actually used my AmeriCorps as part of my internship for my criminal justice program. And it's really good and just heartwarming for me. Like, it just feels good to see what I can really inspire some of the kids to do. And like she said, like, we are the coolest people to them sometimes. And at first they might not think it, but then they're like, okay, these guys are pretty cool. But just the impact, like, for example, we went on a field trip and we drove past my school, St. Ambrose, and they all were pointing out the window, like, where do you go? Like, it's just like the impact that it has made on them, and having them acknowledge, hey, this guy is still in college. Maybe one day I can be that person. So just the inspiration that I'm giving them and the sparks in their eyes that I see some days is very heartwarming for me.
Just like TP said, like the influence that you have on these kids is amazing because, like for me as a kid, it could have went either way. Like I didn't really have a father figure and stuff like that, or somebody to tell me right from wrong. But I always had people to point me in the right direction and give me the right tools I needed in order to make the decision myself. So I felt like AmeriCorps allowed me to reimburse that on these kids from Davenport community schools, and I'm very grateful for AmeriCorps and everything that they've taught me, and they able me to instill my what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sorry. But like I don't know, they make me feel great, and they make me feel good about yeah, my passion. That's what it is. I'm sorry.
I think I decided I wanted to work with kids like during the school year because I was in my criminal justice classes, and I was in one where we talked about like juvenile programs, and I decided like I've never worked with kids, so how would I know if I even like them? So then I decided to work for AmeriCorps in the summer, and honestly, it was really like rewarding for me. Like it was a really good opportunity. It was probably the most like job satisfaction I ever had, and honestly, it was a really, really good time.
And Hunter is a graduate of West
Davenport North.
Davenport North.
North as well.
So, yeah. So good. So these are our summer AmeriCorps, and again, we can't thank them enough in terms of the time that they've put in and the impact they've made for our kiddos that went to school all summer and got to have those experiences with these guys. So thank you.
Do any board members have questions or comments?
I'm not sure that I have a question, but we didn't have recognition. But boy, these gentlemen certainly deserve our recognition for the influence that they have on Davenport Community School students. So thank you. I mean, it's really inspiring.
Yes,
Great question.
thank you very much for your dedication. Just one thing, would any of you ever consider switching your major over to an education degree?
Anyone else? Hold on. Thank you all very, very much for your dedication. It is a huge thing for the kids to see role models and things like that. And obviously it affects you all, and hopefully it helps you along in your career on, dealing with juveniles and things like that. So thank you very much. This is a great program. Thank you for taking the time and getting out of football practice early. Good for you. You're probably gonna have to run some extra laps for that. I get that. But thank you all very, very much. And if everyone would come up here so we can take a photo.
I don't know, I think they don't need criminal justice centers quite yet.
Great presentation. Thank you again. Board reports. Are there any board reports? Director Hayes.
A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to an event where I met Jane Elliott. I don't know if anyone remembers, but in 1968, I guess she did the study with the blue eyes, brown eyes, and she talked about her experiences with that and how it affected the school district. She was more in Northeast Iowa, but she talked about how it affected her community, and it was a very interesting topic that she discussed.
Thank you. Director Kleindrum.
I attended the LULAC Scholarship Banquet. It was very impressive. They gave away 51 scholarships. Great organization.
Anyone else? The only thing I'll say, school will be starting before our next regular meeting. Make sure you obey the school speed limit signs, please. Our kiddos are going to be out there. Try to keep them safe. A lot of the younger ones don't pay attention as much, so just make sure 25. And I know we got a bunch of unpack your backpacks coming up, which I still get to do for a couple more years, so I love that. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda for a minute.
Thanks, Dan. Just wanted to remind everybody that school board elections will be held in conjunction with the city elections on Tuesday, November 7th. The terms of 5 of our board members are expiring in November. That would be Gosa, Klein-Jerome, Hayes, Postian, and Barnes. 4 of those openings are for traditional 4-year terms. 1 opening is for 2 years. The 2-year opening is to complete the term that Director Barnes was appointed for. Candidates will indicate on their affidavit if they're running for that vacancy. So do pay attention to that if you're filling out paperwork as a candidate. If you're interested in running for school board, I have candidate packets ready to go. I'm happy to answer questions. Iowa Secretary of State and Iowa Association of School Boards also have all the materials available. In addition, they have webinars, just a lot of good information on their websites. And then your nomination papers need to be filed with me between August 28th and September 21st.
Thank you, Brenda. If there are no other board reports, we will move on to communications. Open forum. Are there any open forum requests tonight? That is a no, so I don't have to read that. All right, we will move on to consent agenda. May I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move the consent agenda be accepted as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. Superintendent report.
Last week, President Goza, Courtney Olson, Rachel Ivory from the district, and myself represented, or we met with elected officials, or not elected, Mayor Mattson, police chief, and our city officials to review our SRO MOU. And what we did is we looked for adjustments that were necessary, and we also evaluated the last 2 years' data. It was a very productive meeting, and it really is important for us to continue that work with the MOU and make sure that we're reviewing our data, which is posted live on the website. And so it was a very productive meeting.
Just to clarify, there were no city council members in there. It was just
The mayor.
the mayor and the per our MOU agreement, the annual meeting. That concludes your report?
Yes.
Thank you. Committee reports. Data Wall Ad Hoc Committee.
I would ask Diane Campbell to share this one.
Hi, thank you. So there's been some work around the data wall and being able to really get that ready to deploy on the backside. A lot of planning and discussion, and beginning with just defining the data that would be included, as well as the data definitions. And so with those explicit definitions, and that sounds like, oh, that won't be too challenging or too difficult, but it is, because data can be pulled from many different places. It depends on the day and the time that it's pulled. It depends on how often you pulled. Do you look at percentage? Do you look at numbers? How deep do you go with that data? Those questions go on and on. So that data dictionary really served as a way for us to be consistent with the data that's being pulled for the data wall. So those explicit definitions were included the ones that we have outlined in our DCSD Growing Excellence Plan. And that includes post-secondary enrollment, graduation rate, conditions for learning, chronic absenteeism, kindergarten readiness, with the FAST data, ISASP with ELA and reading. We also have 9th grade students on track for graduation, and then our enrollment with career and work-based learning around our CTE work. Another area for the data wall will include the early warning system data, which is the visualization that's being worked on. And that data includes the in-school, out-of-school suspensions, behavior incident reports, and on track for graduation by term. And then the ADA attendance, which is a little different than the chronic absenteeism. Another action that's happened with the data wall is coordinating with Josh Sun to create the visualizations for the data wall, including the early warning systems data, and then also met with IT just to get a look at the projection system and what that's going to look like, and the way that the visualizations need to be organized so that it becomes a way to view the data in a very cohesive fashion. So those are steps that have been taken on the backside of planning for the data wall, and then we will be meeting as a subcommittee soon.
I just have a quick question on that. So I remember before when we had the visualizations up here, it was just, is it going to be like multiple graphs or chart that'll kind of cycle through, or is it going to be one set and it'll be something different each time, or will it just like cycle through on a couple different?
That is a great question, and that is something that the subcommittee will explore further, because when I met with IT to look at what that would look like when it's on the wall, it is one of two ways. You can have it static. If it's static, then the visualization becomes smaller and it's a little more challenging to look at. The other option is for it to rotate, and then you'll have a bigger picture. The other piece that we're trying to mirror with this is what does this look like on the website? How do we make this so that it's on the public-facing side on a constant basis? So being able to not only have our definitions clear, but our visualizations the same, so that then we can replicate on the website is where we're at. And so stay tuned for that rotation, because I think that that's probably the direction it'll go, so that you can see. The other question that's really surfaced is this, once it's the dashboard is up there and we're viewing it, how far do we want to go? For example, if you're looking at it and reviewing it and you have a question, the data can become live and you can link and go into the data deeper. The challenge with that is that, as you know, when you're reviewing data, you can spend hours going through that. So we want to be really explicit, and we'll get more clarification during our subcommittee meeting on whether it's that static piece that's updated on a regular basis, or if it's something that you, as a board, want to look at and say, okay, we have a question about this, and make it linked into further discussion.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Director Poston.
Is this too early in your process that maybe this could be sent to us, or would you rather wait until you're further down the road?
We have the explicit definitions and the description of what that data is. So we can look at the Friday memo report.
Okay.
And looking at it that way.
Thank you again. I appreciate the fact that it'll eventually be going up there because then it helps hold us accountable to keep doing this stuff. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing what the committee comes back with. Finance Committee.
We meet next Thursday, and I've asked Kevin to, we've got around $13 million coming into the district. Some of that is, I believe, still ESSER funds. And I've asked him to review with the committee as far as the allocations and some of the definitions and some of the titles, Perkins, and just refresh where these funds are going to.
Thank you. Long-range facilities planning.
We met today, and we spent about 2 hours over at the Brady Street site, sort of looking at those buildings, check out their capacity, check out what functions would be appropriate to use those buildings for in conjunction with our potential decision for closing down the buildings that are over on Kimberly Road, the operations center in those places, the bakery, moving the bakery. We also looked at the buildings at the current bus slot as to what their usefulness is. And, the bus slot's probably going to wind up over at the old motor pool, and then assessing those buildings for their ability to handle it, which seems to be there. We went through the 2 brick buildings that are from the Arsenal or the National Guard, and very interesting buildings. The long one used to be a horse barn. It was a stable, but it's a fascinating building. We also then went over to the Clemmy buildings that up by the stadium, the south side of the stadium, and went through those to just so we can take an overall picture of what our needs are, what those facilities can provide for us, and if we have a good fit. And we didn't look at structural things, obviously. We didn't look at those sorts of stuff, but it appears that we have a lot of square footage. Also, a personal note, this district has a problem with hoarding. There's more stuff. Those buildings, you'd think those buildings would be empty. Oh no. They are packed to the gills with stuff. We have more plastic containers than you could. Yeah. We need a yard sale. We need a football field yard sale. I mean, you don't need a piano? We got pianos over there. We got pianos. We got enough tables to provide a mega church with tables and chairs. I mean, we got stuff.
Thank you, Director Potts. Any questions on that? All right. Elziak. She's not here. So
None at this time.
All right, thank you. Policy Committee.
TJ, Brenda, and I met last week, went through a whole lot of policies, some which you will see today up for discussion, and some will be for action items. Some of them are a result of the laws that were passed this past spring.
Thank you. Legislative advocacy, we already went over our priorities with the UE and rural schools and ISB. We did save the dates for our breakfast and lunch with legislators, so that'll be the next thing we'll start working on. Superintendent Schneckloff.
Diane's team's been working with the curriculum department to realign our government classes to align with the Day on the Hill. So I'm kind of excited about that. That was always integrated part of our classes to where our students were prepared for that day and they spread it out. So I'm very excited about that work, bringing that back. That initiative retired with some of our retirees, and so now we're integrated in the curriculum.
Thank you. That's all the committee reports. We'll move on to items requiring action. May I have a motion on subject 9.01, Knowledge Matters Curriculum Adoption for Managing Personal Finance?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board approve the purchase of curriculum resources in total of $51,600 using ESSER funds from Knowledge Matters.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries, ayes have it. May I have a motion on subject 9.02, approval of bids for demolition of Monroe in Washington?
Mr. President,
Director Poston.
move the board approve the demolition of Monroe in Washington, not including abatement. Go to the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $649,999 to Valley Construction.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. May I have a motion on subject 9.03, approval of the abatement portion of demolition of Monroe in Washington?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move the board approval of the abatement portion of demolition of Monroe in Washington to the lowest responsive bid in the amount of $30,320 to IITI Group.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. May I have a motion on subject 9.04, DCSD apparel?
Mr. President,
Director Hayes.
I move to approve the purchase of branded shirts for staff members in the amount not to exceed $90,000.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. May I have a motion on subject 9.05, policies for board approval?
Mr. President,
Director Klein Jerome.
I move that we approve the following policies: 302.13, 302.15, 302.20, 305.21, 401.34, and 705.09.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right, we will move on to discussion items. Subject 10.01, West High Sawdust Collector Replacement Project. I'll turn it over to Superintendent.
So last summer we had some issues with the dust collector. Actually, it was this winter we had some issues with it. So we started looking into if it needs to be replaced, fixed, how it's operating. We knew it was having some issues. Digging into it a little further, there's been modifications made to it over the years. It's not working like it should. There's not parts to replace the old ones that are in it. The system is from the 50s, so by far our oldest dust collector system in the district and our high schools. So we would like to hire iMega Engineering to help design this and put it in our buildings to replace the old system that's already there. This would be paid for from ESSER funds. That's probably about it. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Does anyone need any further information to take action on this at the next regular meeting? Knock that one out of the park, Josh. All right, we'll move on to subject 10.02, Harrison Classroom Furniture, Painting, Sign, and Graphics. You just turn it over to Josh again. Mr. Ermansky, you're up.
So part of our phase 1 projects is painting, graphics, and buying furniture for Harrison, Hayes, and Jefferson. This would be to allow us to make the purchase of the furniture for Harrison. Our goal would be to get this in around Christmas time. So if we got it on order now, during the break, we would replace the furniture that's in the building and bring in new stuff. So they'd come back and be set up with new furniture. We're using that current pricing we utilized from Jefferson. If you guys recall, they told us they would give us good pricing knowing that these orders were going to come in the future. So we've been working with them and teachers in the buildings, and this is what they came back with for a quote for that furniture replacement. Harrison, the building's actually got more classrooms, and it's a little bigger than Jefferson, so the amount is a little bit more. Any questions?
Director Kleindrum.
So we think we'd get furniture in December. When would we be painting?
Painting would probably happen over winter, or not over winter, over summer. But if we're able to get in there sooner and schedule it, like in hallways and things like that, we would do it. I just don't want to disrupt classrooms. So we've had some discussions around getting them in hallways if we can, but classroom time is a little harder.
That would actually be a first, because I remember being out of my room while I was teaching so that they could paint rooms during the school year, because if you're just waiting till the summer, you're going to be hard pressed to get a lot of buildings done.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we're discussing if we can do 2 rooms at a time or 1 room at a time, when we can work it in, but we're really working around when we can work around the schools. I don't want to disrupt them, so if it's possible, we're going to get after it pretty soon. But obviously need to finish up this summer stuff first.
Okay.
Director Hayes.
So with this, Josh, was this to paint all the rooms in the building or just some?
It should be painting all of the rooms in the building, not just hallways, not just classrooms, hallways and classrooms.
Okay, and with the cost here, was this a break for the furniture that we've already purchased? Did they give us a bit of a break?
Yeah, the $534,000 for the furniture is including that price break from them for purchasing the stuff for Jefferson and knowing that Hayes is coming in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Director Barnes.
Josh, I know that we've had a little bit of difficulty with lead on getting items. Are you confident that this furniture would be available by the winter break, or are we really talking about a summer 2024 project with painting and furniture?
They are pretty confident we can get this type of furniture in that amount of time. There's other furniture that has longer lead times depending on what it is, but as of right now, they're giving us a pretty good vote of confidence they can get it to us over a Christmas break if the order comes fairly soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Any other information? Josh, the only question I have, if this stuff comes in earlier, are they able to do it like on nights when no one's in the building, or is it only during the day?
That's a hard question.
About this?
That's a hard question, but we'd like to do it over break because we can do it all at one time and get it in, get it out, and not be very disruptive. They could do it a little bit during that time period, but what they do is they show up with a semi and they drop the stuff off. And if you don't have time to get in and out of there, it's sitting in the hallways and causing some clutter. So ideally, it's if you have a couple days that are opened up, you bring a truck in, unload it all, and run it all in quick at one time.
I mean, I've seen a couple buildings today. We might be able to squeeze a few more items in, maybe.
We're out of space, I think.
Any other? Karen said she'll help you paint.
All right.
She volunteered.
We need volunteers. Those are good.
Any other information board members need? This should be on the agenda for the 28th for approval, right?
Yes.
All right. We will move on to, I'm guessing I'm going to Josh again. Subject 10.03, Jefferson Teacher and Media Center Furniture.
All right. So originally, when I had a discussion with you guys, I talked about getting teacher desks, but not chairs. So we had some time to go through and look at furniture a little further. Obviously, still going to get the desks replaced. The media center was planning to get replaced. It just wasn't moved up as far as the pace goes. We were trying to get desks and stuff in the classrooms, and the teacher desks and furniture, and the media stuff was going to come after. We weren't going to order chairs because everybody has individual chairs they like. But what happened was we started looking around at stuff, and we're like, these teachers deserve better. I mean, to be honest, some of the chairs you see them sitting in are something that was handed down 40 or 50 years ago, and they should have something decent to sit in. So in the case where somebody has a specialized chair or something they brought in because that's what they want and that's what they want to use, we'll let them use that. If it's a chair that should be replaced, we're going to replace those chairs. If there are a few chairs left over at the end of this because people decided to keep theirs, we'll move them on to Harrison or Hayes and use them in the next building. So it just felt like the right thing to do after looking at all some of the chairs and stuff in the classrooms.
Director Klein Jerome.
There were two different teacher desks. Do they get to pick which one of those they want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any other information board members need? After doing this will take care of Jefferson. It'll be done, and we'll move on to the other ones.
As far as furniture goes, yes.
Okay.
We have begun painting there, just so you know.
And then once this gets done, will this stuff be like put on a cycle? So in X number of years, we know we need to start replacing stuff, but try to offset it so we're not doing all of them at once.
I think that would be a great thing. Yeah.
Do you guys have something like that started, like a spreadsheet or something that, hey, in 10 years, 15 years, whatever, 50 years, I guess is how.
I'll be honest and say I don't have anything past 10 years out, but we're starting to develop these plans of similar items. So this would be something that would fall right in line.
Okay. And this stuff's all good quality stuff. It's not like stuff that you just.
This is good furniture.
In a couple years.
I hope not.
Okay. Get a warranty on it. No other questions or information. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next discussion item is 10.04 MOU with Goodwill Industries for custodial and food service training and hiring. Turn it over to Superintendent. Or I'll turn it over to Ms. Weinzerl.
All right, thanks for letting us present. This is Michelle. She is with the Goodwill of Heartland, and it's been a couple months ago we were put in contact. I have to give kudos to Elaine out in operations, and Jesse came across this opportunity with Goodwill, and it's Michelle will do a presentation, but when we met with them, they have partnered with the University of Iowa and piloted a program that was basically a skills training program and an opportunity for the university to help hire their custodians. And it's worked out very well. And so we wanted to talk to them about the same opportunity within the district with the training opportunities they have and reaching out to some of our community that are trying to look for a livable wage. This is a great opportunity to help them get trained, come in. I don't want to steal the thunder, but
you're doing
come
great.
come in and work alongside some of our staff to have somewhat of an internship. And then when we have an opening, if they're prepared and we both mutually agree, then we could hire them as a full-time regular employee. So it not only helps our pipeline for custodians and food service, it also helps our community with providing livable wages, as well as hopefully some security for our students. So then if they have that livable wage, and some other information that Michelle will probably provide is if and when we were to hire these individuals, they also get a year of wraparound services. So it's really helping them sustain the career and potential paths moving forward. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. You did a great job. It means that the first round we communicated what we wanted to do, and I want to thank all of you for having me here to share with you tonight. So I'll try to be brief. Definitely want to allow time for questions. My name is Michelle Heberling, and I am the Strategic Partnership Specialist with Goodwill. So although what we are most known for, our logo is the most recognized nonprofit logo in the world for our retail stores, that is really just a means to an end for our organization. So most people are not aware that our actual mission is to help people reach their full potential through education, training, and the power of work. And so that is what we strive to do. We specifically try to reach the untapped talent, the untapped workforce. So we try to reach out to the underemployed, the unemployed, the unskilled workers that could really be a great addition to our employers and our businesses if they were just given the upskilling and the certifications they needed to really become economically self-sufficient and contribute to our economy and our community here in Davenport, the Quad Cities. So that is what we try to do. And as Jamie said, it is a holistic wraparound service model that we do. So I won't bore you with the whole journey map that we do, but every single participant that comes through our doors, it is a tailored journey for them. And so we meet with them and we find out, we assess what are their interests, what do they want to do. We have a navigator that works with them through the whole process of getting them certified to be plugged into our businesses that we have partnered with. And then, as she said, we follow them for a full year post-employment to make sure that they're set up for success and that the business is having a successful relationship too. So what we have noticed this really improves is it improves attendance, it improves job retention, it improves overall satisfaction. And so that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. So that is, in a nutshell, what Goodwill does. Specifically, we want to talk to you about the custodial technician program. So we upskill in a variety of different areas: Google IT, hospitality, customer service, but we also do custodial technician. So we partner with, I don't know if you are familiar, but ISSA, Custodial Cleaning Management Institute. So this is who we partner with. And to kind of give you a brief overview of this training, I'll read it so I don't muff anything up here. But it uses the ISSA Cleaning Management Institute curriculum to prepare learners to pass a required 6 exams. So this course, it is offered virtually. It is offered over 6 weeks. They can take it virtually, but all of the exams are proctored to make sure that they have a successful completion of the exam. And once they complete this certification, then they are plugged into an internship with a business for 25 hours where they work alongside seasoned employees so that they can really get to know the environment that they're in. So what we have done with the University of Iowa, and I apologize, I am jumping way ahead here. So what we have done, like specifically with the University of Iowa, that has been a huge success for us, is we were recruited to help find custodians for them and do custodial cleaning for their student division of life campus, which is all of their dorms, it is all of their bathrooms, their memorial union, and a bunch of other things like that. We added a lot to the ISSA curriculum that was specifically tailored by the University of Iowa. So that is something in some of our previous conversations that I've had with Jamie and Josh Blair and Jesse and Elaine, what would be some specific needs for the Davenport schools that we could help tailor this curriculum to really benefit what your needs are here in the district. So we did that with the University of Iowa, and that has been extremely successful. In addition to just doing the curriculum on how to clean and test for pH and all of those types of things, we also do a lot of work with the soft skills that are needed with employment. So we teach on anger management and time management and how to present yourself and dependability, attendance, all of those other aspects of soft skills that you can train somebody in the skills, but if they don't have some of those other key components, they might not be successful in their job force. We piloted this at the university with 2 candidates. So that is something I want to be very transparent about. We don't necessarily always have a pipeline of people that the minute the school district would come and say, hey, we have somebody in custodial or an opening in custodial or food service, we might not be able to have somebody plugged in right away. But when we bring you a candidate, you can trust that this candidate has gone through a lengthy process with us. They have been well vetted. One of the things we've talked about with the school district is we are actually going to run the background checks. We have gotten the list of what the background checks are. So we will make sure that they pass all of that curriculum before they even step foot in the school to be an intern. Lost my train of thought. Maybe I'll just take a quick pause and see what kind of questions we have right now, and then I can kind of veer my conversation based on what I'm leaving out here.
And I'm going to jump in real quick. It is something after talking with Goodwill that we also did talk with the custodial labor management team as well as food service, because that's an opportunity as well. And just talked about it's an opportunity because we are always having retirements and there's always turnover in those positions. So it's a way to get people in. It's not transplanting or taking anyone's position. So as we talked through that, they understand we're not looking at outsourcing anything. It's a way to upskill members of the community and give them an opportunity to apply for and hopefully obtain a position that we have available.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for piping in there. So, yes, this is not just as though we also would not have necessarily a candidate ready when the custodial department was ready to hire. There is no obligation to hire any candidate that we would bring you. So if somebody comes in and does the 25 hours of internship and that is not a good fit, we would love to know why that wasn't a good fit, because then we could help tailor future trainings. But there is no obligation to hire. And then with custodial, we do also have the opportunity with food service. It is a much more condensed program, the food service. There is a 24-hour certification that would allow them to just be a food handler, and then we also do work for a food protection manager. So we have that we can dive into and explore and present to you when we have candidates that come through with that as well. Some statistics I would like to just share. So in 2022, 71 individuals gained industry recognized credentials in food service, hospitality, customer service, custodial, social media. More than 80% of those trainees did gain employment in their field of study, and 70% of those candidates were still retained after 90 days of employment. We have not been able to until recently track 180 and 365 days, but we are tracking those retention rates now. We've been really pleasantly surprised with what we're seeing. We have been partnering not just with the University of Iowa, but we also work with Muscatine Community College. We work with Blackhawk. We work with Bettendorf School District, St. Ambrose, and Augustana. Not all in the capacity of a custodial technician. We work with different districts and different needs that they might have. We also work with Cinemark, 53rd Theater, Mercy Hospital, Rhythm City Casino. So we have been for 15 years now very successfully partnering with agencies to really help meet some workforce solutions and help grow the economy, the local economy as well. Yes, talked about food service. So then the next step for us is really the memorandum of understanding that I think maybe you all have a copy of. So that is just something that we have already kind of been working with some members of Davenport schools to kind of detail what this collaboration would look like. And again, it is not at all a contract. It is just a document, just like there is turnover, unfortunately, in every job. This helps so that we don't have to build the relationship from scratch. We can kind of say, this is what we are liking to bring to you, and detailing here that we're going to do background checks, that we're only going to present eligible candidates, and that kind of thing. So if you have any questions regarding the MOU, I'm happy to answer that as well, or any questions regarding the overall program or vision of what we would like to do.
Any board members have any questions? Wow. All right, I have a few.
All right.
You said, I think it was early on, that they'll take a course to get some credit for that. Is that something that they pay for, or whoever the entity they work for pays for, or how does that work?
Yeah, thank you so much for clarifying. And I failed to mention that all of our Goodwill services are at no cost to both the participant and the employer that we partner with. So this is part of why we have the retail stores, is so that we can fulfill this mission. And so it is at no cost to the participant. I will say the food service has a little bit of a intricacy there. If down the road, we have partnered with businesses before that then want us to upskill their current food service staff. So if at that point, we will typically enter into that relationship with a business or organization for 1 year, free of charge. And then after that, there is like to help cover some costs of materials and stuff like that. But that would be down the road. If they felt like the pilot was going well, then we could always introduce something like that down the road. But there's no cost to the participants or the employers at all with the custodial technician.
Perfect, thank you. And then the other question I had, so, and I don't think it really says it in the MOU, but anyway, so if a person comes through and then they go to work for us, whose employee are they? Are they
Yeah.
Goodwill's employee? Are they our employee?
They are Goodwill's employee up until we hire them. So as they're going through the training, and then the 24 or 25-hour internship that they do is all paid through Goodwill. And then when they apply and get hired into one of our positions, that's when they would become our employee.
So they would, if they were working in one of our buildings, Goodwill's paying them, and we're not paying anything to Goodwill to
No.
cover.
Correct.
We are not a staffing agency, so we bring them to you for 25 hours.
Okay.
They have been well vetted. We think that we have the list of what they would need to be hired by Davenport School District. So we bring you candidates that we are very optimistic are going to be a good fit. We have already run the background checks. We pay for that 25 hours of an internship to work alongside a seasoned employee. We cover the liability for that 25 hours. Then after 25 hours, Davenport School District would make a decision if they wanted to hire that particular employee at that point in time. But there's no exchange of money before that.
Okay. Well, you kind of answered my other question on if we got them from the program and then we hired them, if there was like a compensation fee to Goodwill, but I think you said you're not a staffing agency, so.
No, there's no compensation. What we hope to do is build a great relationship and a partnership to where this is a successful way for you to have reliable employees. And then you would look to us in the future when you have more openings, and we can continue to have a pipeline of employment and we want to partner with districts. Again, as she mentioned in the beginning, our goal is to help provide people family sustaining wages where they can really be economically self-sufficient in their community. And so we look to partner with businesses where there is room for growth opportunities for them individually, where we feel like it's going to be a great, safe environment for the participants to be working in. And so we're very particular about the businesses and organizations that we collaborate with.
Perfect, that was my questions. And just to clarify, Jamie, you said that you did bring this up in the custodial labor management and they support this. I mean, I guess it's more folks for them.
Yeah, so it's really we just wanted to share it with them before we shared it with anyone else, that this is not in any way trying to take any jobs from anyone. It's a way to fill vacancies as people leave or they retire, and it helps them when they're, I mean, they don't like to be short staffed because they're picking up that extra work. So it's just another way to provide some candidates, a pool of people to choose from, and they've had the opportunity to be in here and work alongside some of our seasoned personnel and get a realistic job preview too.
Okay. I think they were trying to tell us our presentation was running.
I do.
Oh, that was a timer? Yeah, I guess.
That was the Salvation Army fault.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I can get a little long-winded. You can just go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we don't have to worry about any emails from any groups telling us that this is.
No, we in our
Okay.
labor after our meeting with them and our labor relations or labor management meetings with them, it was discussed and
Okay.
went through everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Director Poston?
Jamie, on the MOU, item 3, part A, it says designated primary and secondary representative to meet according to an established schedule to evaluate level of skill demonstration of participants and review partnership goals and progress. So who will be that person from the district?
I assume it would be me and Josh or Jesse. I mean, we'd want, if we're working with the custodial group, I'd want Jesse and Josh involved, or if it's food and nutrition services, having Connie or Kent involved. So depending on what program we're utilizing.
And those were, Josh did send me an email. Those were the names that he gave me to kind of have in our who we would contact and that kind of thing. So, any other questions I can help answer?
Is there any other questions, information board members need? I'm assuming you'll have this done up and get us to us on the 28th.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, we will move on to subject 10.05, the communications plan. I handed you all a printout, and Brenda's going to bring it up on the screen. At the committee of the whole, we did the discussion on this with Shane Williams, and this is all of his notes that he put together and sent back to us. And basically, so just to recap everything, this was all done. We had a board request about looking at bringing communications back in-house, and then board members had talked about we needed to have a clear plan on what we wanted from communications. So these are the takeaways from that. What I would like to get out of this discussion is what we need to focus on, as well as what other information board members would need. So at the next regular meeting, we would have action item on if it would be something that looking at bringing in-house or outsource RFPs and things like that. I believe that's kind of what we discussed. So I will kick it off like that. And if anyone has anything they want to kick off the discussion here. Director Barnes?
I would just mention that my comment was probably fairly transparent. I think either an internal or external party can do this job, but they can't do the job very well if they're not aligned with what we want them to do. And I'm not sure we've had sufficient conversation yet about what exactly we would like any marketing and communication party to be doing on behalf of the school district. So just want to say that I'm not sure I'm ready to say internal, external yet until we know exactly what we want them to do for us.
So that is what this discussion is about right now. And then how serious we want to be about the communications. Is it something we want to focus on a lot, a little, so that we can give feedback to the superintendent and the admin team to put something together for us, so then we kind of have an idea on what things will be. Director Barnes.
Well, then I think the what needs attention list is probably the most important aspect of this conversation. I mean, there was a fairly healthy list of what needs attention, and I think maybe it deserves our focus as to whether or not we think an internal or external party can deliver on those things that need the most attention.
As you all are looking through that, if you want to chime in, feel free, so we can get a conversation going here, so we kind of know what direction we want to go in. And I'll just list it out right now. The areas that we determined at the committee of the whole meeting that need attention are we're always in reactive mode. We need to think ahead. Losing the messaging war, the website, success of students, opportunities, regional messaging. It needs to be more timely and attract students, and our course offerings. I'll do this. I'm going to go around the horn since no one's piping up here, and then we'll get this thing kicked off. Director Potts, I'm going to start with you.
I think when we talk about having been, we've come out of a period where we were essentially needing to be defensive and be reactive to what we were being told to do when the state took us over. And that whole period of time, it was not a time where we could be proactive. We were busy trying to dig ourselves out of a hole. That's an oxymoron, but anyway. I think now is the time, and that's what we directed our public relations to do, to remake, to rebrand, to like change the perception, to react to the negative stuff that we were undergoing when the state was taking us over, when the state was running things, when we had little or no control of our own fate. We could control how we responded to it through our public relations. I think now we've overcome those hurdles. We're back in control of ourselves. Our finances are pretty much straightened out. We're aggressively moving on our long-range facility plan that's going to, one, consolidate and take care of our facility overages, more efficiently use those. My point is, we should now be transitioning into being proactively positive on what's going on in our school district, whether it's the programs we have at the high school, at West, at North, at Central High School, the Creative Arts Academy, the music programs, the we talk about our course offerings, the things that we offer. I believe we offer courses that other school districts don't even think about. We went through a contraction on some of that when we had to drop some of the things we were offering in our middle schools, but the pendulum is now swinging back to where we can start we'll offer foreign language in our junior highs. Now, people don't offer that. Most intermediate schools in the county don't offer that. So the direction I think our public relations needs to go in now is to salesmen, accentuate the positive, get the word out of what's going on. Because we may not convince Mrs. Jones, who has decided to open enroll her kid to Bettendorf, to bring him back. But if we have information out there, we can get Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so who are moving here from Cleveland to pick a school. Oh, I wonder what kind of schools am I? Because that's what, if they have kids, that's what they want to know. You know, we have the information, the stuff out there for them to say, oh, look at this, that they can compare, and the comparison, in a comparison, we're going to do well. I've said this before meetings. Nobody's going to move to Davenport and pick our schools because we have the best remedial reading program, right? People will move here and pick our schools because we have the best music program. We have the best CTE programs. We have the best we have a creative arts academy. The junior high bands are really good. That's what they're going to make the selection on. And I think it's time for us to give direction, new direction to our public relations to sell.
Thank you, Director Potts. Attract students was the main overarching theme there. I saw that. Director Klein, Jerome?
I 100% agree with Bruce that we have swung back. We need to be attracting families to the district, letting them know what great opportunities we have here. My feeling about doing that, though, is I know a lot of what I see on Facebook, and that's the only social media of all of this stuff that I look at. It's what's at the board meeting, the pictures, and here it is. Or TJ has fed it to somebody to put it on Facebook or wherever. I would like somebody, don't put this on TJ's plate all the time. Somebody internally could go out to West High and explore that CTE program and get information out about it, get our handbook out there, but they're not always relying on district people to feed them the information to get it out to other people. We know we have it, and when people say, oh, I didn't know you had that, I've sat on the NAACP meetings, and they're like, well, what are you doing? And we pulled out this wonderful pamphlet that says, here it is, and they're like, we had no idea. So there is a disconnect, and if somebody was internal, they would be able to talk to the people within the district and get that information out, instead of having it just be funneled through TJ to a communication person.
Thank you. Director Barnes, I apologize because you had given input, but I'm going to call on you again, so I apologize.
No apology necessary. Thank you very much. I guess an observation I would make, and then also maybe a recommendation to the administration, since you're seeking action. The observation is it seems like that the tactical, we've done a really good job, and the tactical marketing and communications is pretty good. We're getting information out, but we're getting information that is not necessarily strategic. People know what time things happen. People know what is happening. People know when it's happening. But this whole question that Director Potts mentioned, are we attracting students? Are we getting information that is strategic out there to build enrollment in the district? That's the type of strategic communication goal we could put in front of an external or an internal party to begin to drive exactly what Director Klein-Jerome was talking about. It can't be just on the superintendent to be the only champion of everything that's happening in the school district. And if we place that responsibility exclusively on the superintendent to interface with an external or an internal party, we're not going to make news. And with apologies to the media in the back, there is an art to making good news rather than just having news reported about the school district. And I think that's what I'd love to see, is maybe some prioritization from the superintendent and the administration, that here are the things that we want to promote in order to build enrollment. I mean, I think that's something that we could all get behind, and whether it's working with an external agency or empowering some folks here. I'll just share my own experience. We have an email address called Share News, which goes to the marketing communications team at my organization, and anyone shares these great stories that we can get out and make news. So that would be my suggestion anyway.
So that is exactly what's occurring now. We have an email that feeds tag. Everyone in the district has it. They prioritize that, and then kind of go through there. So that's a point of clarification. That's the exact system that we have.
Director Hayes.
I agree with everything that's been said. We have been pulled out of a very dark spot with the assistance of our current providers. But there are some things that happen internally that sometimes you have those aha moments in a room that I see it happening right now. Let me call and get this passed on to the next person. And by the time it gets down the line, sometimes it's lost its zeal. But I do feel in a sense where, some things can be captured right now and reported. As an example, also, as Director Klein Jerome said, with the pamphlet that we had, I actually, from the members, saw that pamphlet just laying on a desk, and I had no idea that it was even there. And I was actually shocked. And the person that shared it, it was like another aha moment. You're right there and you didn't know. And I honestly felt some kind of way like that. So I would like something or someone to be able, again, be it internal or external, to get that information out, because there are a lot of things in the district that are being missed. And I think if people knew more about it, that we would be able to gain some type of attendance with it, because, there were a lot of great things on that district. All the schools offer something very, very unique. And I would just like the community to be aware of it and know what all we offer, rather than, jumping to another district right away before exploring everything that's available.
Thank you. Director Poston.
A lot of good comments. When I look at this, I'm wondering whether we need maybe a combination of both internal and external. Someone other than the superintendent to kind of spearhead what we want to see from the rest of the communication team. And the other thing, that the comment I made at the committee of the whole meeting is, I'm not sure we were giving clear direction to TAG the last few years. And, that's something I think that's important. We've got to understand, or we've got to communicate what we want. And I think, Bruce, some of your comments, I think, to me, that's what we want. We want to sell the district, and we want to move on from what we had in the past. So again, maybe a combination of internal and external might be appropriate.
Good.
Director Klein Jerome.
When I say internal, though, I don't mean we're going to say, if you're already working for the district, apply for this opening. I mean, this becomes open position that somebody who currently is working for a communication network group, newspaper, television, whatever, somebody who has the background. I don't mean it necessarily as somebody within the district taking it, but somebody who has the background and is a professional in this area.
Thank you. Thank you all for your feedback. So on my end, 100% agreed. Number one, we have to get students here. I mean, and TJ and I have talked about this before, but like a new baby's born, you take a care package. Here's something from Davenport Schools, whether it's a little stuffed bear with our logo on a t-shirt or something to let them know that they're part of the family. And that's how, if you look at any one of our surrounding districts, they have one high school that they feed into. You know, when you go to that school, you're going to be a Lancer, a Bulldog, a Spartan. And, you know, and we need to get our feeder school stuff aligned. So, you know, if you're in the North region, you're going to be a Wildcat. If you're in the Central region, you're going to be a Blue Devil. If you're in the West region, you're going to be a Falcon. And when you start building that stuff, that's how you're going to get people there. And not only, it shouldn't always be the superintendent. I can't tell you how many times I'm at the grocery store or anywhere that people stop and, you know, you have that conversation with them. I was somewhere and I was talking to some folks, and they were getting ready to sign their kids up for school, and they were going to open and roll them out. And I'm like, why? And then we had the conversation. They didn't even realize all of the things that we offer. I think, and I'm not trying to sound terrible, but I think we do a terrible, terrible job of promoting ourselves. And not just from the CTE stuff, the fine art stuff. We have Special Olympics. We have great special ed programs. We reach all kids. We don't turn kids away because of certain things and stuff like that. We take everyone and we work with everyone. And we have great programs like we saw the presentation earlier with AmeriCorps, and we do all of these great things, and that should be something that we highlight. I think I work with a lot of realtors and a lot of folks when they're going to move into an area. They look at your website. Our website sucks. It's embarrassing. You can't navigate it. And most people aren't on a computer. They're on their phone looking at it. It just isn't good. You look at social media pages for that to see what people are commenting. I mean, we all do it when you're going to go to a restaurant or something. Well, you look at the reviews. 100%. You want to know where you're going, what it's going to be like, and things like that. And we do a terrible job of that. And I understand we've had so many things, as Director Paz said, we've have been stacked against us for a while, and now we're on the uphill side of that, and we have to start focusing on promoting all the things and get that black cloud away from us. And I think when it first started and we had a former superintendent that got the communications stuff going, never consulted the board with any of that. We never had any input on that stuff. Now we're kind of doing that because the board should be leading the district and telling folks what we need and what we want. It shouldn't always be all on the superintendent. We should be accountable for that, because at the end of the day, we're accountable for the student's success, and that's what we need. We need students in the classroom to be able to impact their lives and things like that and get more students to the district. And I think we need to give TJ and the team as much information as we can so they can put something together, whether it's a hybrid, like Director Passion said, where it's some internal, some external, it's internal, it's external, whatever. We need to give them some direction so they can start putting some things together for that. And then as the board, we can decide what route to go. But at the end of the day, whatever it is, it needs to be a professional that does that stuff. I know when it was in-house before, some of the right people weren't in the right spots to do things. I'm trying to say all this politically correct. But I mean, look at all the restructuring and the things we've done and all the positive direction we're going now. So I think, you know, everything should be an option, and we need to start looking ahead on that. And this is a great discussion. I appreciate this. I really didn't know how to kick this off, and Shane wasn't available to come back. I thought he did a good job facilitating for that, so I got to thank him on that too. Director Poston.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like some thoughts from the superintendent on what his thoughts are.
Well, I echo what everyone said. As I'm writing down here, I think to have some very clear goals. I'm very excited around we have well-established goals in our district to say, here's the communication goal that goes along with that. I think that anybody can take that and run with it. In terms of, if you look at where we were when TAG entered our organization, they turned it around, completely rejuvenated our relationship with the media and external. And I agree, we're at a spot now where we are ready to move into a very proactive, situation where we're going to be telling our story. When I think about Davenport Community Schools, I think about a sleeping giant. That's what I think about us, and that's where we are. We're getting ready to awaken up, and we're getting ready to take it by storm. You look at some of the facility, the things that we're doing, and we're moving in the right direction. And so the guidance from the board has been very helpful for us. And so, like I said, TAG has done a wonderful job taking us from where we were to where we are today. And I think the board should heavily consider, our past, the direction that we're heading with this. I think those are all incredibly important things to consider.
Along those lines, what kind of input and feedback can we provide to help you guys put something together to bring back to us? To kind of help. As a board, we need to decide internal, external, I understand that. But we also need to decide the direction. So whatever direction you can give us on what information and stuff to give you all to put something together, whether it be a proposal or whatever, because either way we go, we'd either have to hire folks, RFP, or however, because that way that folks can put together a game plan on what we want. And
Sure, and I thought maybe an analysis of other UENs that look like us might be helpful. So I contacted Iowa City, Dubuque, and Sioux City to see what they utilize. And each one of these schools has a very similar format to deliver, and I want to preface this, deliver their communication goals. So I want to think we still have to establish the next direction. With that being said, the vehicle is not going to solve that, to answer your question, Director Barnes. But the vehicle that these districts use, they have a director and 2 assistants. Essentially, what that looks like, it's anywhere from, depending on their pay scale, from $200,000 to $350,000 cost to the district, and they are delivering just that: website, social media, communication with those. And so, Dubuque had a very interesting thing. They partnered with their local school, and they do all of their video with Loras College. So they partner with Loras College. They have a studio in there, and they do all of their videos. Thought that was an interesting concept. They partnered with them to do that. So that's the 3 UENs. So I think the vehicle is incredibly important, but then what is it that we want to accomplish is incredibly important as well. So those 2 things are critical. If the board would like, I could put together some vehicle proposals and some goals, what it is that we want, and bring that back for a potential consideration for the board. That might be a possible step forward if you like.
For clarification, I think you said like 250, 300,000 is there. Does that include everything, or that's just like salary? And how comparable in size are they to us?
Sioux City's very close to us. Iowa City's a little bigger than us, and Dubuque's a little smaller than us. So you pick one smaller, one the same, and one larger. Cedar Rapids is I did not call them, but I think they're number 2 now, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's either Iowa City or Cedar Rapids has surpassed one another.
Man, and we were in that hunt for a while. Does anyone have Director Potts?
And maybe we all aware of this. I just, we're good at visualizing things in our pyramids, right? As opposed to Venn diagrams. But I'm not the vice president. You got pyramids, and I hope we're not focusing on the top of the pyramid as our PR, right? Because that PR starts at the building level with that building, in my that building principal. You know, when I was a building principal, I worked. I didn't. I was the one. I kept trying to get smart on the TV or on the good side on the TV, you know, or you know on the news. You know, we had Bill. Oh shoot! They just did the thing for him. I'm drawing a blank. Bill Wondrum, okay, had him come over to get the 1 millionth meal. Well, you know that was in the paper, you know. I mean, so there's a lot of the public relations that can take place at the building level that whether it's an internal or an external, they don't even have to know about it, you know, because it's a lot more effective. You know, hello Quad Cities. Okay, everybody likes that. That's not going to make somebody from Cleveland move here, but your audience in that building likes that stuff, you know. And so that's the other part of maybe a piece of our public relations plan is to bone up the skills on some of our building administrators and empower them to, you know, because I remember when I was, the rule was you had to go through the district's PR lady with anything. Well, you got this person and you got how many elementary schools, how many junior highs, and how many high schools and sporting events, everything, all pouring stuff in. So then she pours all that stuff out, and the media does triage. You know, whereas if a building person develops some kind of a relationship with somebody in the media, and they're just local folks. I mean, we're not, you know, I mean, that's part of the PR plan. Because that's the PR plan that hits your student population and your parent population in your school. And if they're happy, life's good. If they're happy with their school and they like what's going on there, and they're being taken care of, that's PR. You know, you're on your road to multiplying that district-wide.
Thank you, Director Potts. Does anyone have anything else? What other information and stuff can we give you guys to? I mean, we're kind of throwing a lot of stuff out here, but you guys kind of need something to. I'm trying to think how to.
Here, I've got a comment about. Goes back to we are not explaining to people what's here. We throw out Creative Arts Academy. Now, how many of us here could tell you exactly what is involved with that Creative Arts Academy? I know they have a dance part of it, you know, fine art where they're drawing, painting. I couldn't tell you what is truly involved in it. Why are we not out there with that information? CTE, obviously we are not getting that word out. So our programs needs to be one of our goals, that we have great programs. How do we get that word out? I think that needs to be like a #1 goal. We are going to sell ourselves based on what we currently have or could potentially have in the future.
When you're saying that, I was thinking of Andy Zinn's video that he does for all the welders and just how charismatic he is, and it pulls kids in. If we had something like that with like Creative Arts Academy, that like these are all the amazing things that we're doing, and then pulls them in, and if we could hone that into like each thing that we do, and maybe it's a link on the website that they can go and see this, and then they can kind of have like a little virtual tour or something of all the things that we do, and maybe see like some of the things, you know, like we do the art in City Hall, different things like that, the band spectacular, so they can, you know, see to be a part of that, our Special Olympics stuff and things. I think that's a huge thing too, to tell those inspiring stories that get folks, you know. Director Barnes, you got any insight like on some of the things you guys do over across the river?
I don't know that it's inside. I think the only thing that I would say, sort of to wrap up my thoughts on this, if enrollment growth is the objective, the tactics, the methods, and the audience are going to be different than what we've been doing. And just even clarifying that if that's what we're trying to do, clarifying that with an internal or an external audience, or for that matter, everybody in the district, everybody in every building, that our communication is about trying to grow enrollment for the school district. That can go a long way. Right. I think to Director Potts's comments about, we had some issues we had to work through. And when you're combating negative visibility, you apply a different set of methods. You double down on communication with those who are closest to you, so everybody knows everything that they need to know. But we're in a different position now. And if enrollment growth is the objective, I would guess whether it's TAG or anyone else, they're going to choose a whole different set of methods and delivery and audience, and that would be a good thing if that's where we're going. But that sort of seemed to be a common theme here. How do we showcase the opportunities better? How do we talk about student success? All with the idea of growing enrollment. That would be pretty cool.
Director Poston.
We keep bringing up Creative Arts Academy and CT, and that, if we do, whichever way we go, whether it's external or internal, couldn't we incorporate that into the Creative Arts Academy as far as whether it's some sort of class or whatever, where doing videos for the school district, and just like a communications class, whatever. I think that would fit in. They do have the video equipment out there at Sudlow, and that might be another thing to incorporate into the curriculum then.
That's a pretty cool concept. Gets a little on-the-job training. I think when I toured the Creative Arts Academy and it was down, I went to the library and then the Figgy, and they were kind of doing some stuff like that. Yeah, then they were doing some of that type of stuff. Do you feel like you kind of got a little bit of a road path to put something together? Is there like something we could fine tune, give you some information on, or?
No, I think the board has set a very clear path about the direction that we want to go in terms of setting goals, being proactive, things of that nature.
Does anyone want to add any other input or would like any information? I know Director Potts asked about what Cedar Rapids does, so if you could look into that one too. Is that correct? Okay. Right. Okay, so for myself and the agenda committee, when we set the agenda for the next meeting, we should probably do another discussion before we do, because I don't want to put something as an action item and we're not there. Everyone's good with, they can bring back some stuff to us, and I'm not pulling anybody anyway, but I just want to make sure, so we have another discussion on the 28th with some more information, then we can kind of get a game plan on putting together an action item. Brenda, will you please make a note of that for agenda? Thank you. Is there anything else on this? All right, we will move on to subject 10.06, policies for board's first discussion. I will turn it over to Vice President Kleingerl.
It is policy 602.20. I would like you to look at. And in the policy committee, we were not sure this actually was happening. The POWMIA flag will fly below the American flag at Brady Street Stadium whenever the flag is flying at the stadium. The four district high schools will fly the POWMIA flag below the American flag during the third week of September. Again, maybe John Flynn, you could tell, no, it's not happening, as that was our feeling, but
Sorry. I know the flag is flying at Brady Stadium during contests. I know at Central when I was a principal there, I cannot assure you that that was done the third week of September. And I would bet that that is probably the same at the other three high schools as well.
so I guess I would like to have a discussion. Do we want to put this in and then say to the high schools, you must follow this policy? Or since they aren't doing it, take that part out, but leave the Brady Street? I do not want to make that decision just by myself and strike something out. I'd like to know where the board stands on this.
I would support the policy.
So the high schools should have to fly it on the third week?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so we just need to make sure that they're, yeah, I was gonna say, that they have a flag and that they are aware of this policy and that they need to do that. So that policy will stay as is. We just need to make sure they have a flag and they follow this. Okay, I appreciate that. Any other, yeah. Yes, please tell all of your high schools that flag must be in flying. Any other question? But first, make sure that if we need to buy a flag for all of them, let Josh know. Just take a ESSER money, Josh.
Quick question.
Yes.
Is it only the high schools and not junior highs and elementaries?
It does not say that.
Okay.
It just said,
Yeah.
yeah, Mid-City.
Okay.
Any other questions about any of these other policies that are up for first discussion? Okay, these will come back 2 more times. I'm good.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Administrative reports?
None at this time.
Someday. Board requests. Are there any board requests? All right, seeing none. Board reflections. We will start with Director Poston.
For me, it was the AmeriCorps presentation. It's so gratifying when you can see young men like this that are willing to participate in the community and work with students. And I just wish that we could get more of them involved and get more school buildings involved. And I think over time we will. I think with our communication plan, and trying to focus on the positive and try to get not just young people, but parents, everybody in the community involved in our schools and participate more. I think that it will just help the whole community.
Thank you, Director Poston. Director Hayes.
I too enjoyed the AmeriCorps and hearing the young man actually share his truth with not having a father figure in the house and the ability to assist other young men in the district that may be in the same situation and just need that additional encouragement. I also like the Goodwill presentation to allow those students a sense of being and able to do other things.
Thank you, Director Hayes. Director Barnes.
Thanks. I'm very excited about the Heartland presentation with Goodwill. I think it just is such a neat community partnership, and the more our school district can be reaching out to other community partners, I think the better. So that was a real highlight for me. So good work, Jamie.
Thank you, Director Barnes. Director Potts.
Yeah, the AmeriCorps kids, especially to see that several of them were our own graduates that wanted to kind of give back, you know. Also, I think our discussion we just had on our public relations, and it's an essential basic conversation, and it's good that we're not done with that conversation yet, but because we need to think about it, get it clear in our own heads what we want to accomplish, so that it can be clearly articulated, and then we can hold people accountable to do it.
Thank you, Director Potts. Director Klein Jerome.
I think it's very proactive to partner with Goodwill of the Heartland, that we're thinking about how do we get these positions filled, because we do have quite a few food service custodian positions that oftentimes we have a difficulty getting them filled. So it's no obligation, no money out of our pocket, but I think it's a great partnership to be thinking proactively, which is what we should be doing. And it's the same with the communication plan. I think we are starting to, instead of put out the fire, we're looking down the road. What is it we need to do? And I also, somebody brought up, when we set up the original group, we didn't have a discussion. It was, here, we're going to do this, and we had no involvement or say in any of it. So I think it is a good discussion that we are finally involved in that part of it.
Thank you, Director Klein Jerome. Superintendent Schneckloff.
I would echo the discussion. I think it's incredibly important for administration to get its guidance from the school board, and that allows us to move with clarity. So to establish goals around communication and track those, that's very relieving to an administrative group. So not only do we need a vehicle, but we also need to know where we're going. And so that to me is a positive sign of governance at this level, and it's very appreciated. The second for me is I cannot wait to see the day when all of our classroom environments are bright. They have fresh furniture, and Josh's team is working hard at that. Also would like to welcome on our agenda, it was a previous agenda, but just Tim Bellman to the district. He's our new IT director. He started today, and we're very excited to have him. And he smiley face in his office today. I'll go up and track and see how long that lasts for him.
Thank you, Superintendent Schneckloff. I was going to do the elementary buildings because no one else said it, and you totally stole my thunder. I think the presentation night was great. Again, it's super awesome to see some of our students come back and help in the district and try to impact other younger students' lives and set them on the right path. Greatly appreciate that. Appreciate the conversation on the communications. I think we had a good conversation and kind of give the district team a path forward on kind of what the board's thinking, and then also the upgrades for the elementaries so that each building's feeling like it's getting something, and sometimes just a little bit of paint helps. Maybe someday we can get that burnt orange color covered up there so it feels a little more lively in here, but with that, Director Potts, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.